You are in the airlock. The outer hatch slides aside, and the first thing you feel is not cold, not pain, and not fear. The saliva on your tongue begins to boil, yet your body temperature hasn't changed at all. It is 36.6 degrees Celsius, just as it was this morning. It is simply that there is no longer any air around you. The air that has spent your entire life holding you down like a lid, and without that lid, water boils at your normal temperature. You haven't heated up. The boiling point itself has descended to meet you. The Earth ahead is massive, blue, and absolutely unaware of what is happening. Your brain is also calm for now, because there is no pain. You simply lack the receptor that would signal, attention, external pressure is at zero. Evolution never signed up for this scenario and provided no instruction manual. You have 14 seconds of useful consciousness to make two correct decisions. Both are the exact opposite of what your body is screaming at you to do. And you have 90 seconds until the point of no return, which you likely do not even suspect exists. The movies lied to you about everything. You will not explode, you will not be covered in frost, and your blood will not come geysering out of your nose. Everything will be quieter, warmer, and much stranger. The countdown has already begun. Your whole life you have carried 100 kilometers of air on your shoulders. About 1 kilogram of atmosphere presses down on every square centimeter of your skin, and you only fail to notice it because, from the inside, you are pushing back with the exact same force. A stalemate you have never once thanked. Open space is not a place. It is the absence of a place. And here is the main thing. It is not what is outside that kills you. Outside, there is nothing at all. What kills you is the thing, inside you, which behaved decently all your life only because it was being held back. Your internal pressure has finally been set free. It will handle that freedom much like a person given an unlimited credit card for the first time. 0 seconds. Your instinct is to take a deep breath and hold it. It is the best reflex in your arsenal, honed by millions of years of diving for shellfish. Here, it is the first thing that kills you. The air in your lungs is under pressure. Outside, there is no pressure at all. This means it expands, and the only thing standing in its way are the walls of your alveoli, membranes thinner than a single micron. Evolution made them incredibly thin so that oxygen could pass through faster. A brilliant solution for a planet with an atmosphere. A fatal flaw 1/4 of a second later. So the correct move is to exhale, completely, until it is all gone. Give your air to the void voluntarily, because the alternative is that the void will take it anyway, and much less gently. It is the only situation in your life where a full exhale into nothingness is safer than taking a breath. There is no point in trying to remember this. When the time comes, you will be occupied. Simultaneously, the fate of 2 other membranes is decided, ones you only ever think about on an airplane. Your eardrum is a film only 1/10 of a millimeter thick. On one side is the air in your middle ear. On the other, there is now nothing, and the entire pressure differential pushes against it from the inside. It can only be saved by a narrow channel, leading to the throat, the very one you try to clear during landing, and that only works half the time. In other words, at the most critical moment of your existence, the key structural element turns out to be a tiny tube, the same one that regularly fails you when you are descending into London. And then, your lungs do something you certainly did not expect from them. They reverse and start working outward. 3 seconds. Your lungs are no longer just an entrance, but an exit. Now, oxygen leaves your blood, moves back into the lungs, and then out into the void. Your most reliable system has just been repurposed into a pump that is draining you dry. At the same time, the water in your soft tissues begins to evaporate. This is called ebullism, and it looks like this. You swell up, noticeably to roughly 2 times your volume. Through all this, your skin holds. It is elastic, tough, and unlike everything else, it is performing exactly to specification. You become a very tight balloon, but you do not pop. The one-time Hollywood lied in your favor. However, your blood does not boil. It is sealed within your vessels, and your own blood pressure keeps it liquid. That very same reading that makes the doctor click their tongue during a checkup turns out to be the last functioning valve in the system. Hypertension has finally found its true calling. The tear film on your eyes begins to evaporate as well.
The very thing you only ever notice after staring at a monitor for 5 hours. It vanishes in seconds, leaving your cornea exposed, and your vision blurs. The first thing the cosmos takes from you is the view of itself. Your eyes, by the way, won't pop out. Their own internal pressure holds them in place, and there is nothing on the outside pulling them. The vacuum does not suck. It has no hands. It does nothing at all. It has simply stopped pushing back. The steam in your tissues is joined by nitrogen. 2/3 of the air you have breathed your entire life is nitrogen, and some of it is dissolved right inside you. As long as the pressure held, it stayed out of sight. Now it comes out in bubbles. You have been opened like a bottle of soda that was shaken long and hard beforehand. This is exactly why, before heading out, astronauts spend hours breathing pure oxygen, literally rinsing the nitrogen out of their systems. The most boring procedure in spaceflight, and one of the few that actually works. All the romance of the profession boils down to sitting and breathing into a mask for half a day, because otherwise, you will fizz up in the wrong place at the wrong time. And the swollen tissues begin to constrict your own vessels. Your body is hindering its own circulation simply because it has become larger than itself. And now, your brain finally receives what you sent its way. 9 seconds. You think you can last as long as you can hold your breath in a pool. 1.5 minutes, maybe 2. You have between 9 and 15 seconds. The difference is simple. In a pool, your blood is fully charged with oxygen, and your brain calmly finishes off the supply. Here, your blood has already dumped its oxygen into the void and is returning to the heart empty. The heart dutifully pumps it along. A few seconds later, your brain receives its first serving of perfectly useless liquid. You turn on the tap, but only air comes out. The delivery works flawlessly. There is just nothing to deliver. Medics call this the time of useful consciousness. A beautiful name for the window in which you are still capable of reaching out, turning, or closing. Beyond that, a stage begins where you are technically conscious, but your thinking is like that of a person who is very confidently searching for their keys while holding them in their hand. And you will not be able to call for help. Not out of heroism, it is simply because your vocal cords have nothing to vibrate against. Sound exists only where there is matter that can be pushed. Your larynx honestly does everything it knows how to do and produces absolute zero. The only scream in your life that will remain entirely inside you. Of all your systems, at this moment, the only one working is the one that you have never trained. Your vision is already failing. Your hearing is shut down by physics. Your voice is canceled. And your consciousness is holding on to remnants that are not there. 14 seconds. The lights go out. Quietly, without last words, there is nowhere to say them anyway. And here is the main surprise. You have blacked out, but you are not dead. Not even close. From this second begins the only part of the story that is measured not in seconds but in hours. It is the scene you have watched 100 times. A body flies out into the airlock and is instantly covered in frost. Beautiful. And completely wrong. To freeze, you need to give your heat away to something. On Earth, you have a line of takers. The air carries it away by convection. A cold floor pulls it out through contact, and water takes it away dozens of times faster than air. In the vacuum, there is no line. There is no one there at all. All that remains is radiation. You glow in the infrared, like a radiator. This method is so slow that the void is specifically used as an insulator. That is exactly how your thermos is built. A wall with nothing between the layers. Congratulations, you are the tea in the thermos. Just tea that is very nervous. To truly cool down takes hours. And on the sunny side of the orbit, you risk overheating. There, you are being roasted by unfiltered sunlight. The first real tan of your life will be your last, but it will be perfectly even. Only the wet parts can freeze. Your tongue, your lips, your eyes. Evaporation carries away heat locally, and your nose really will be covered in frost from the inside. Everything else will stay warm. You did not freeze. You did not explode. You are just warm, bloated, and unconscious, and still alive. That is why the next minute decides everything. 90 seconds. Your second right decision, that very same second one, is not made by you. And that is the worst news of the day. The window is about 1.5 minutes. Restore the pressure within the first 90 seconds, and there is a real chance of a full recovery. 2 minutes or more? Almost certainly not. 1.5 minutes. That is the same amount of time you spend staring at your phone every morning, not remembering why. In the end, it is not the void that kills you. You are killed by simple oxygen deprivation, the same thing that happens during suffocation anywhere on Earth. Space did not invent a new way for you to die. It took the most mundane method and stripped away everything extra: water, air, sound, and witnesses. Houston, 1966. You are technician Jim LeBlanc in a vacuum chamber, wearing a test suit. The pressurization hose disconnects. The pressure in the suit drops to near zero, and you feel the saliva on your tongue beginning to boil. That is the last thing you will remember. 14 seconds, and from then on, everything depends on the people at the valve behind the glass. They begin restoring the pressure immediately, a full atmosphere, in 87 seconds. You come to. Your ear hurts. Nothing else. A man named Jim LeBlanc visited the vacuum and walked out with complaints on the level of, "It was a bit drafty on the plane." But take note of what exactly saved him. It was not training, not willpower, not some special resilience of the organism. His body did absolutely nothing useful at that moment. He was saved by someone else's hands, which began to act in those first few seconds. 90 seconds is not your buffer. It is someone else's deadline, and that flips the entire picture. We imagine the vacuum as a test of toughness. Who is stronger? Who can last longer? But here, toughness means nothing. Your physical condition does not give you a single extra second. Your experience gives you none, and your self-control even less. Because after 14 seconds, there will be nothing left to control. The only variable that affects the outcome at all is standing 3 meters away from you with a hand on the valve. We like to repeat that humans are not adapted to space. That is not true, and that is the whole point. Your body does not break. It is functioning perfectly, down to the last detail. The lungs exchange gas, the heart pumps blood, the skin holds its shape, and pressure keeps your blood liquid even where saliva boils. No one fails. No one panics. Your body is conscientiously following instructions written for a planet with an atmosphere, and that is exactly why it stops working. We are used to thinking that life is something that happens inside of us. In reality, half of the conditions for it hang outside and are called the atmosphere. 100 kilometers of air that you have never seen, never chose, and never noticed is just as much a part of you as your liver. It is just that this part does not fit inside, so we agreed to consider it scenery and admire the sunsets. Your body does not have a boundary at the skin. It runs much further, somewhere up there where the air ends. Everything below that line is you, just a very large and very thin part of you. Stepping into open space without a suit, you are not entering a hostile environment. For the first time, you are left alone with yourself, without that half of you which has been on the outside all this time. 14 seconds. Would you have time to do anything meaningful? Or would you honestly spend them on saying, "No way"?